Hi there, this is for both old timers and new timers and in between timers. Because I guess it applies to all of us. I got my driver's license at 16, so that that probably hits the lower end of the age that I'm talking to. I wanted to become a famous poet. Oh Lord, did I. I visualized a pond, big pond, couple acres, big pond, couple canoes in the pond. My girlfriend or wife would be with me every night, and while we traveled the pond and looked at the big moon. Have you ever been that way? You ever done stuff like that? Visualize what it's going to be like in just a few years? Well, had a problem to overcome. It's called shyness, bashfulness, awkwardness. Had to deal with all those by myself. I mean, who do you go to get them to straighten you out? Well, I guess there are counselors out there now, but not back then, that you could go to and get help. Let's not say help as much as guidance. Guidance and maybe role play. So we go on the stages of a man's life. We're fearful to ask certain girls out because we only see them with football players, basketball players, and class president. So we don't ask them out. So what I did, I went to other schools that had dances, and these dances were open to all the other schools. So the people I dated during this stage of my life, teenage, were girls from other schools. Now, let me mention there were two I dated at my school. If by chance you're listening, drop me a note. Diane Hughes. Diane Hughes was a wonderful person. And the other girl was Nancy, and I can't think of her last name right now, but I probably will before we get done here. Now, I was a wallflower. I guess that's what you call it. And I thought I'd change my personality when I went to college, which I did in the first year because it was a small college. The second year was a big college, and I would invite myself to sit down in the snack bar if a girl or two were enjoying a cheeseburger and fries. Nobody said no. They said no, join us. Okay, that was a different stage of a man's life. It's where you're still got youth on your face. You still got I want to say a newness about you that they don't know, but they may want to get to know. Not to mention they might like to date, and they might like for the guy to pay for the date. We won't mention the hormones that go on between the guys and the girls. There's something called hormones. If you don't know what it is, you can Google it. So all this is all mixing in. Then when you finish college, you are in quite a interesting change, depending on what type of job you get. If you work at a machine shop, I worked at Ford truck plant. Ford truck plant still there, Fern Valley Road in Louisville. Paid well. That was not my first or last job, but I mention that to let you know that I've been that route, and there was not any way of really meeting people to date. You had to go to dances, independent dances, and when I say independent, Changes Unlimited comes to my mind. Changes Unlimited came out around the 70s and the 80s. It was a huge, like an auditorium, but it was self-standing. They had groups from California coming in all the time. Grateful Dead. I can't even think of them right off the bat because there's so many coming in from California that were famous. Peter Frampton wasn't from America, but he put on a good show. Bob Dylan put on a good show. Everybody that played there, they had to be good or they weren't going to be invited. Three Dog Night, they were there. Gosh, what blood, sweat, and tears. Terrible. They couldn't stay in sync with each other. It was terrible. People left during the break. And that's saying something when you pay to get in there. My main function or purpose was to meet girls, which I was doing better by that time, greeting them, asking them if they'd like to dance. And so that's another stage of a man's life. You still look okay. You don't have the beer belly yet if you drink beer. Well, you might, but probably not yet. And you still have the youth in your face and in your body. But give yourself a few more years and you're going to get to a different level of a man's life. The girls won't be looking at you with an invitation to greet them. They'll look at you and look the other direction. 30s and 35, 45. Now we're going to hit 50. Well, when you're 50 on 60 and above, they look at you for a few seconds and glance to see if there's any younger guys around. Well, let's climb up to when you're 70 and over. They might look at you just to see what you're wearing. Are you successful? Are you dressed successfully? that doesn't mean anything to them because most of the time they see you much too old for them. We're talking about women 19 through 29. You're too old for them. Then when you get to be around 75, they'll look at you and they'll see you got white hair and wrinkles. And they'll say, ain't he cute? Ain't he cute? And they'll move on. So that's the stages of the man's life until they become invisible to women. At that point, that's when you've got a walker. You've got a walker, and this is after you have the cane. They'll still look at you if you've got a cane, especially if it's an expensive cane from French Lick Resort area, where got one of their canes. You could open it in the middle, and it had a bottle, and if you wanted to put your favorite drink in that bottle, you just put it in there and put it back together again. And also, if you go to fancy resorts, you'll have some lookers, especially if you're dressing well, especially if you've got great style and look successful, but not if you've got a walker. If you've got a walker and you're pushing your walker and holding on to it so you don't fall, you're invisible. Now that's the stages of a man's life. Maybe not too much different than a woman's life. I couldn't really tell you, but I'm guessing. I'm guessing so. Now, I got yesterday's video. I read a portion of a book I wrote, and I got a person who said they really liked it, and they said if think about ending your session with a poem or with prose like you did last night. So I'm looking around for some books I've written so I can do that. And yeah, people still buy my books. I'm not going to talk much about it other than to here's a few people sent me letters. Now, this particular person didn't know they could stop with one stamp, so they send me each letter with 2 stamps. Well, I don't know. I had about 4 of them, and I mentioned this in another video. You can see a whole video on this. This person sent me a letter without my address on it. Now, how does that work? They had my name. They had no return address. And I'll show it to y'all sometime when I can find it, but it's close by. It had my name. It had no address, no street address. It had no post office address. it did say Madison, Indiana. Now, if they wanted to return it, and 99% of post offices would have returned it. She didn't have her address or name on it. And I looked at it. I said, I got to do a video on this one. I got to do a video on it. So there's a video on it showing the actual picture of the front and the back and about how surprised I was. And not that anyone cared to watch that video, but I thought it was interesting. I've mentioned it maybe one other time. Part of a man's life is exploring desires, not of the flesh necessarily, but exploring desires of what they want to do in life, working. Well, I had a tough time through that, and that's on another video, how many schools I had to finally go through to get to where I was going to go. I'm talking about not high schools. I'm talking about colleges and graduate schools to get a master's or doctorate that just laughed at me because my grade point average on my first degree, called a bachelor's degree, wasn't at the top. They'd say, looking at this transcript, which was, I had 3 majors: psychology, sociology, and teaching. They look at it, they said, we don't accept people like you in our university. And I'm going to tell you something else. This was the head of the psychology department, by the way, at University of Kentucky. He said, I'll tell you something. You're wasting your time trying to get into any university where you can earn a master's or a doctorate. So good luck working in a factory. So I left University of Kentucky in a different mood than I had gone there. Now I'm going to reach around here because I'm going to find something to read to you. Bear with me. I'm back. This is called The Summer of Love. I had 4 of them. You know those 4 seasons, don't you? This Summer of Love, what comes after summer? Summer, spring? No. Well, you know it. I'm too old to remember this. There's one for each. I don't even think I have them listed in here. There's one for each season. The summer of love, the autumn of love, the winter of love, the spring of love. I don't think that's the correct order. How about this one? I'm just going to read a few things. Just a few things out of this. At random. They're short, so I'm not going to bore the death out of you. Too much money is spent impressing a new girl. Either she likes you or she doesn't. Money shouldn't enter in. Coke dates can be perfect. See, there's a picture of Coke dates, of Cokes. And wasn't that just downright cute? You are so beautiful. You are one of those beautiful people. When I see you, I smile and feel happy inside. I've been considered one of the worst poets in America. I ripped that letter up and I wish I'd have kept it because the person was famous. It was a woman poet. I'd recognize her name. I should not have ripped that up. And then at around the same time, I do get a letter from from the worst poet in America, Charles Bukowski. And I can read his scribble. He makes a drawing and he says, "I've just gotten back from a bloody tour. I hate these tours where you go and you read poems at different colleges." A lot of you don't know Charles Bukowski, so that won't mean anything to you. This one might relate to you. Each phone number that I'm dialing is busy. No answer. Sorry, she's moved away. Or didn't you know she was married? Or I'll hear, the number you dialed is now disconnected. And so the night goes on in circles of endless numbers. I would even talk to myself. But even my mind got up and walked out of the room looking for some activity. And we're going to end with a short one here. Let me skip here and I'll read this one. I prefer lasting love. Someday I believe it might come. But today I need love, even if it's just for a moment. That's from the Summer of Love. And I'm struggling, folks. And maybe someone's comment, if one cares to comment, will make all the difference in the world. My dream was lost writing in 1978. I had written about 12 or 15 books. I'm looking for the last one, but it's not sitting here. Oh my gosh, I gotta mail this out tomorrow. Somebody ordered 3 books. Here's his name. If you're watching, they're going out tomorrow. Except you didn't know you were getting 3 books, did you? I said I was only going to mail you 1. Free. You get 3 free books. Just because you ask about my books. Did you know what one of my friends on YouTube did? He calls me up. He's watching now. I call him up, rather, to ask him a question, because I know nothing about doing these videos. He said, I saw your last video that you were closing down tonight? I said, well, yeah, when only 12 or 15 people look at your videos. You think, is anybody having fun watching? So I said it was going to be my last night, and I may have put, unless people write, or unless I see the people are watching. He said, Jim, I read that, and I put something on the community. I didn't know anything about community on Facebook. I still don't know. He said, I put it on my community to give this boy some confidence. Give him some support. Look at his studio. And you know how it tells how many views you've gotten? Well, I go to bed. And I would have shut it down that night, except I couldn't understand the instructions. And I was too tired to play the game of trying to do it. I thought there's always another day. And I didn't know he had put that on the community, on his community, whatever that is. The next morning, I couldn't believe the number of views I got compared to the number of views I normally got, which I was looking at one just earlier and I had 11 views. You see why I was going to shut down? Would you shut down if you got between 11 and 20 views? Okay. Here's the problem. I'm using a $50 computer. The model is DELL, D-E-L-L. Got it from eBay for $50 plus postage. Well, I thought I'd sharpen. After I read that, I sharpened myself up and bought me five new hats from Amazon for about $10 or $15 total. That's why the last 2 or 3 videos I've had different color hats. Now, that was improvement number 1. Second improvement, I haven't gotten to. Maybe you can help me out. Yeah, I did that one. He said either end with a prose or a poem, so I did. So I did 2 things. So we've been going a half an hour. If you want to list all you know to improve my site, or if you think I should just close it down, let me hear from you. I know hardly anyone's going to subscribe because I looked recently and somebody actually subscribed. I thought, how'd that happen? That happened actually after I said I was going to close. I guess they didn't watch that video. So this is, I call it a old folks channel because some people really think I'm old. Well, let me tell you something. Clint Eastwood is 95 years old, and he just came out with a movie. Well, he wasn't old enough for the main character, so he hired the main character, and he was 100 years old. Now, I'm not going to tell you the name of it. It's just 2 words. Mostly because I can pronounce the word. Jury number 2. Jury number 2 is Clint Eastwood's current movie. Netflix carrying it. I haven't watched it, but I know there's a lot of people that's Clintwood people. And I'm thinking, at his age, and he was standing. It showed him producing it. Part I was watching the trailer, he's standing up straight like a pole, no fat, no beer stomach. By the way, let me tell you something. Secret. You know how close I got to him? I was in Carmel, Indiana. Did you know he was mayor there? He was mayor there once. And I missed him at his Hog Breath restaurant. Yeah, still there. Look it up. Hog Breath restaurant. It shows you it's just now been remodeled, and they reopened it this month. Now, having said that, they have any kind of liquor you want, any kind of foods you probably thought of. Yeah. I should consider myself famous because I came that close to meeting him. Well, if you like this free-flowing style, that feel free to come back tomorrow or the next day whenever I come back. And I tell people I'm going to make one the next day, and then I don't, and then I'll get some Coca-Cola to get some caffeine in me, and I can say I can at least talk 5 minutes. It's only been 33 minutes. Thanks for joining. God bless you. And you're a good person. You're a real good person. Take care now.